My name is Haritz, and I'm an economics PhD student here in Northwestern. Today I'm going to talk about how the economy affects politics. The US politics is highly polarized. Democrats and Republicans are increasingly unable to reach compromises and forge agreements. If we go back to the beginning of the 70s, we will see that there was significant ideological overlap in Congress. In this plot, I graphed US House legislators in the year 1971 by how they voted to different sets of bills. And there were many legislators in the center that were political moderates. They would vote with Republicans or Democrats depending on the bill. However, by 2013, we see that these political moderates have been ousted from office and instead replaced by political partisans, political extreme legislators. These extreme legislators always vote with their party regardless of the bill under consideration, and increasingly regard their political opponents with disdain and as enemies of the country. Many researchers have been trying to find out which factors might have contributed to the increase in polarization that US politics has experienced in the last decades. And they have pointed out that high levels of polarization lead to gridlock and make it very hard for important laws to be drafted and passed with broad bipartisan support. I'm going to be focusing on how the economy might have affected this increase in polarization, and for that I'm going to turn into state legislatures. States follow very disparate trends in their economies and in their politics, and therefore constitute an excellent laboratory to study how the economy might affect polarization. In this plot, I graphed US states by their economic growth in the last 2 decades and their growth in political polarization in state legislatures, where by polarization I mean the average ideological distance between Democrats and Republicans in the legislative chamber. And as you can see, there is a clear relationship where states that grew little, such as Arizona or Idaho, they experienced big increases in polarization. By contrast, states like South Dakota or Wyoming, they experienced a big economic boom, and their polarization didn't almost increase. So this suggests that there might be some relationship between the economy and polarization. But it doesn't show that the economy affects polarization. In fact, we could think that polarization might also affect the economy. We could think that a highly polarized state legislature might be unable to pass important economic laws, and that might in turn hinder subsequent economic development in the state. We could also think alternatively that there might be some other factor, call it X, that might be affecting polarization and the economy at the same time, without polarization and the economy being directly related to each other at all. So therefore, to explore what is the actual causal mechanism in play, I turn into analyzing oil price changes. Oil prices in this setting offer me several advantages. The first advantage is that oil prices are set globally. So this means that no individual US state has any influence on the price of oil. And in addition, oil prices fluctuate unpredictably. Nobody can accurately predict what the price of oil will be next year. The last advantage is that different US states are differentially impacted by oil price changes because their production of oil is different. A state like Wyoming, they produce a lot of oil, whereas in a state like Illinois, the production of oil is negligible. What this means is that if the price of oil increases from one year to the next, the economy of Wyoming is going to experience a big economic boom, whereas the economy of Illinois is not almost going to be affected. And very importantly, these different economic growths in one state versus the other is going to be due to reasons that are completely unrelated to their political circumstances. Therefore, these oil price changes are going to be for me as an experiment where some states are going to grow more than others for reasons unrelated to politics, and they will enable me to see how the economy might affect polarization. When I do this exercise, the results are clear. Economic downturns in a state lead to increases in political polarization in state legislatures. How this result manifests is that if there are elections to a state legislature in a given year and the state is undergoing a big economic crisis, more incumbent legislators will be replaced from their office and instead replaced by more partisan, more extreme political candidates. So this shows that economic circumstances affecting a geographical area greatly impact the voting behavior of voters living in that area. And this suggests that when voters are undergoing economic hardship, they might become more willing to vote for extreme political candidates at the expense of moderates. So to conclude, I want to say that if we want to fix the political situation in the US, we should first focus on fixing the economic situation. When an economic crisis hits a state and hits some people, politicians should focus on responding to their needs and should make sure that nobody is left behind. Thank you very much.